How's your progress going on planning out the? We're talking about milling directly into the mash now.
Waiting for a warm day to go out and cut that piece of wood.
Oh yeah. This is the one you're doing?
Yep. Alright, you guys can weigh out the grains, that would be great. I'll get the grains for you.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be a Vienna Lager, and these are beautiful. So, the grain bill is 80% Vienna, which is over there, and then 10% Melanoidin, and 5% Cara Aroma. I just gotta find that Melanoidin.
Should I take that to your work? That's the way.
Yep.
Did you have a different weight that you use for your special malt?
Yeah, I use that one up there. That's squat.
Yeah.
Let me out first.
Yeah.
Alright, so you guys good with weighing it out? And where do you want it? In the bucket. In the green bucket.
Green buckets. This one?
Actually, you go first into the black. Weighing out the Vienna.
5 gallon batch.
Yep, 5 gallons. I never brewed this one before, and it's totally experimental. It's not like any of the ones that you find on BJCPs or American Homebrewers, winners, or anything like that. It's not in Brewing Classic Styles. The one in Brewing Classic Styles is a mix of Munich, Vienna, and Karamunic, and a little bit of dark crystal or something like that.
Mm.
So I want to go with a lighter version, a little bit more traditional. When I was in Vienna, I had a nice Vienna Lager there, and on the website of the brewery it says use a traditional Vienna malt with melanoidin malt.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, okay, well, let's go ahead and do that combination. But then the traditional one is just the animals. And actually the color of a Vienna Lager is usually very light. It's darker than a Pilsner or a light Munich Lager, but it's not as dark as the amber one that's defined in the BJCP or any of the guides. In the guides they say like a 12 SRM is the lightest, like 6 UBC, all the way to 20 or something like that. And so I get nowhere near that. I get like 8 if I just use the Vienna malts and melanoidin. Actually, it was like 6, between 6 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
So I added in a little bit of Cara aroma there for color to bring it to the 12 or 12, 13 for SRM. And so, so that's why that's there. Only for color. Hopefully the sweetness of it, it's only 5%, so hopefully that doesn't come through so much. Hoping that the yeast will dry out. I was going to go for a 10-gallon batch, but let's just do 5 first.
Yeah.
Let's just make sure this is like a good recipe, and then it tastes good, and then if it comes out the way I hope, then I'll make it again. 65 grams of size, and then the lager yeast got started going on upstairs. But yeah. So weighing out the specialty grains, you can go ahead and do that in the ice bucket, the ice ring tin, and then the Vienna malt can be weighed out over there. And then I'll bring the mill out.
530 grams.
Need power. Boom.
Oh, I can take the.
Yeah, it should fit because it's only going to be 260. I did care aroma. Alright. I'll go
Should I put this back in the top one?
yeah.
Har du lite fancy oppstart som kommer?
Jeg har ikke det, altså. Jeg har en kjele. Jeg brygger på Spider nå.
Okay.
Har du 3 kjeler?
Ja, jeg har akkurat fått skilskapelse, så jeg har
Okay.
faktisk det. Jeg har ikke brukt den ennå. Jeg står i garasjen, venter på en anledning. Men det er ikke like fancy som her, altså.
Hva du bygget for før den?
Jeg startet med en sånn 36 liter kjele bare, og noe vei.
Ja.
Så jeg kjøpte litt mer og mer og mer.
Det blir som regel sånn, altså.
Kjøpte en infusion mash-kjelen til Brewday her for et års tid siden. Så jeg bygget en fire på den. Ja.
Ikke sant?
Skal du drille eller helle?
Jeg vet ikke hva faktisk jeg helt har på det. Jeg er bare 2 valser selv, så...
Ikke peiling. Ja.
Correction?
Do you do it fast? Because I can't find between those two. I'm trying. How fast do you want it?
Yeah, faster. You can go full.
Yeah, good.
Rolling. You ready for the beer? Alright, don't breathe. Remember we were talking at one time about me pushing the ore up through the oil, and you're worried about if it's not clean afterwards? And that's, what I take out of it, right? So this is the water that's left in there when I push and I do the sparge. So I'll take 6 or 10 gallons, then it's 5 or 10 gallon batch. And then at the end of the day, I just open up the valves and let it all drain out. But it, of course, doesn't all come out. So this is what's left. So I usually heat the water up to strike temperature, and then open the valves, the pressure, right? Because it's all hot. You push out whatever was in there. But it's not dirty. It's pretty clean. I don't know if I think some leaves that I think were in the before I opened the valve.
I will buy one of those clothes eventually.
That was given to me by the guy that I sold the other control panel to.
Oh, really?
And he said that it's a plum wine that is made from somebody who sells cases of it to the castle. I guess the king liked it.
Never heard of plum wine.
Yeah, that's. So you had to open up a little bit of that.
Yeah. 3.5 kilo.
adjust my mill to do the spelt grains because they're much smaller kernels.
Yeah. What did you put it at?
I just eyeballed it and didn't set anything specific. Just went smaller and smaller and smaller until it was crushing. And,
I don't happen to have any extra tiltable thermometers. They're hard to find.
they used to sell them individually. But, you get them on more beer.
I bought 2 of them from eBay a couple of years ago, but now I can't find them. I find them with the Fahrenheit, but I really want Celsius.
Andrew's working today. He might come later. Alright, so it's just to take the bag sides up and then make a tight knot and put it into the mash tub. Go upside down so it doesn't create a bunch of dust. You were the one that told me to delegate.
Yeah, I think you're good. You're really good.
You want me to do it or?
No.
Should I do it? Just upside down, but put in?
No.
What did you say?
Take,
You have to listen.
we don't want to create a lot of dust.
Oh, yeah.
So then we take this off. And that's where the board with the hole in it would come in handy.
Yeah.
Somebody had suggested about just putting a board over this with a hole in it and then put the grain mill on top of that. And just drill it directly into it.
Like this.
Yeah, put it all in upside down and then open it up after it's down at the bottom. Then you shake it all about. I'm gonna see if this thing will start working.
You mean we're not live now?
Well,
I've been trying to keep my mouth shut.
got no idea. No idea what's about that. So basically, I would like if people are mentioning anything in chat, just read off chat. If there's any questions that come up, pose those questions, and then we'll answer these people live to the camera.
Yep.
So we got two cameras going. One here. You can talk directly to the camera, or this guy up here. I don't know if anybody comes into the chat. I want to make that smaller, so you can see if anybody's watching.
And the one watching is you?
I think so. I went public just a second ago.
How is it advertised?
It's not. I'm not advertising.
No, I'm guessing your followers or something
Yeah.
notified.
Do you get anybody have the possibility to see if I'm going live?
So you're asking, does anyone have a smartphone?
Because I don't really see it.
Like pop that.
You're not on the top of my list.
Set it up, isn't it? Dashboard, so when computers go live.
Yeah, you're right.
Public.
Yeah.
People will make their way in as the day goes on.
I don't get you in my feed. But I see you when I go to your channel.
Yeah, that was the same.
do get other live feeds.
I can mess with it later. Start with the smaller glasses.
Does YouTube record this? Or is it some promise that it's
Yeah, I think so.
not sent to the 3-letter agencies?
So, did you want to try to mute that?
It's 12 o'clock somewhere.
Almost.
I don't need that full glass. Thank you, sir.
Can I try one? A little bit?
Yeah.
That's okay.
That was the one.
That's the age 150. Citrus. 644.
I think you could use some lactose to speed that up.
What's that?
Sort of similar to mine was the first week at least.
No, it's a good observation because you could say it's a little dry. It's on the dry end, right? So it's 150 parts per million of calcium sulfate and chloride. So it's balanced in terms of this 150, 150. So I wanted to basically use that as a baseline. And then if I take it down to 50 for the sulfate, it'll be less dry. So I want to use salts to create the mouthfeel rather than an adjunct like sugar.
I prefer the sweeter.
So it would be sweeter and less dry. Because you take away the dryness, the sweetness comes more forward. That would be done naturally.
Yeah.
More bitter than you thought it would be? Or more just bitter in general?
I can taste the difference from the last time.
It's not very bitter, but I like bitter. But I would prefer these ones to less bitter.
Alright, let's go in. Get mash underway.
Yep.
I'm going to need to go with didn't really have a mashing routine, I think. Mash. Yeah, so it wasn't targeted. Actually, no, that's a good point.
I was thinking I should have mentioned it before we dumped it.
Yeah, so let's do that. Yeah. That should have happened before we put the grains in.
Yeah. I was just doing estimates.
You need more space.
It's cooling up.
2.3.
Ja.
Så i garasjen.
Ah.
Kjører bil. Så du kan ha utstyret stående permanent.
Ja. Men jeg har ikke plass til fermentasjon.
Så fordel å slippe å begynne.
Ja, for du må fysisk være med.
Ja.
Det ser jeg. Ja, det er sant.
Yeah, getting an early start there, Cheshire. Thanks for checking in. Can you hear me us all right? How's the sound coming through? Can you hear us at all?
Weather could be better.
Yep.
That's the two.
Yeah. Take it, put it back. Did you get containers for your results?
Not yet. I will almost used up my chloride on the bottle.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I need to buy the 25 kilo bag from
The liquid stuff.
Where did you pick the profile for? Or did you create it yourself?
I created it,
Yeah.
I always use the Palmer's guide, Palmer's stuff in the guide, and then adjust it myself. Sound breaking up a little, and so is the picture. Okay. Is it possibly your internet, or is it our feed? Because I got like green lights across the board from YouTube. Let me check here. Seems to be alright. Not seeing any bad data. Okay. But how's the sound quality? I mean, is it loud enough? Can you hear us chatting and talking and stuff? Because obviously we don't want to let some of the secrets out. I'm just kidding.
Do you want this parameter in there?
Yes. Yep. Alright. So, take this off for a minute. Break that up.
You didn't touch it. Sorry? It's just me. Okay. This is my...
Wherever there's the open space, the big open space.
I think I need
Maybe, oh yeah, that was on top of each other. So that was on top of that. But whichever way works. I don't have it set at anything specific. I'm putting it there. Put it there. Here.
It's warmer here now than last time.
Is it?
Yeah.
On the So what I'm doing this time is coming straight out of my carbon filter through the coil, because this is heated up to 85, or it was, and then I'll push hot water out of the coil directly into here, so they'll be at my filtered but tap water. And we've added the salt, so I mixed them up inside the grains already. And basically, I expect what happens when this is finished is that this will be at about 50, 55 degrees, and then this temperature of the HLT will be lower, closer to where we want for mash temperature, so it'll be ready to start the recirculation almost immediately.
What's your target?
64 or 65? Let me check here. So, first I want to see the water adjustment, so it's going to be 18 liters.
Yeah.
And I got it dialed in for 66 actually. But I want it to be through a lighter body, so I'll go 65. So I'll dial in 18 here. Liters. So it's already set, it's right up there. So run. Set it at about 4 or 5 liters per minute.
The reason you are doing this instead of taking water directly from the HLT is to have control of the amount.
Keep the HLT at the temperature so that when we're finished going in, it's immediately ready to start recirculation. Because otherwise, if I was to take the water out of here, then I have to fill it back up, wait for it to come back up to temperature, and then start the recirculation. There's a couple different ways to do it, right? So normally, I get the strike water here, and you put it right at like what Beersmith tells you. So get the strike water set at like 73 degrees if I'm going to be striking in at this room temperature. And when I'm finished going in, then the temperature of the mash is where I want it to be, 65 degrees, right? So then I have a lesser volume in here, so then I have to add water back into it. And then this is now less than the 65 degrees that I want to start the recirculation at and keep it at. So that's why I'm doing it this way. So what will happen is when I come in at 55 degrees, then I sort of treat that as a protein rest. Say, okay, let's do like a 10, 15 minute protein rest while it's climbing from 50, 55 degrees, get it up to the 65 degrees mashing temperature that I want for the saccharification rest, and then start the recirculation. So this is already going to be, should hopefully drop right around 65 degrees and be relatively ready to immediately start recirculation. Another way to do it would be, well, instead of putting this at 65 degrees, would be set it at like 85 degrees, do the strike directly from here, and then add in the water. And then so that the water I add in at 10 degrees Celsius, whatever is coming in out of the faucet, makes it somewhere closer around 60, 65, so it takes less time to be ready to recirculate. The problem with that is, now if I'm striking with 85 degree water, then my mash temperature is now already at 70, and I'm in the zone of denaturing the enzymes, and I'm going to throw it out that way. So doing it this way, it's more safe, a little bit faster. Other people have made suggestions about, hey, why don't you just boil the strike water in the boil kettle first? Well, because I only have 20 or 30 amps to deal with. If I can't do both elements at the same time, so I'm going to be heating up the strike water or the HLT water, and then heating up the strike water. It's going to take the same amount of time anyways. It's going to take less time to heat up because it's going to be less of a volume to heat up. It'll heat up faster in the boil kettle, but still, it's...
So you get double size HLT. Then you can heat it up to 55 Or if they talk when it's
Yeah, or if I had the induction plate, right? Keep the heat going that way while I heat it up the boil. So that's it? We're done? Good? Alright?
You want the box something?
Yeah. Normally. Anybody chatting on the chat window? Chat.
Yeah, there's chatter. Hey, Tony.
Who is it? What are they saying?
Colorado Fly Fisherman Society.
Hey, Colorado Fly Fisherman, how you doing? That would be, get the circulation guys ready. Please stir this up. Pretty thin mash. I went for 1.4 quarts per pound. It'll settle in once it's in.
all the burn marks on the bench.
No, I just maybe
Is that new?
the tiles.
Yeah.
Yes.
No more squeezing the tubes.
No more squeezing the tubes.
What are you guys brewing?
Vienna Lager. Vienna Lager. Over there. That was the, see now I'm way high here and going back up. So what's the temperature here? It's 50. So that'll raise eventually quite fast. So that's 57 now. So there's a reduction magic. 72 there, 58 there, so hopefully when this gets 65, that'll be 65 as well. Alright, what do we got going on? Are you still with us? We are brewing up a Vienna Lager. Right down there on the screen. Over here somewhere. Vienna Lager. Do you want to try that other one, or good with that one for now?
Finish this one first.
It's drinkable.
No, I like it. If we could see that darker or lower than this.
It's not that much darker, really. Now, it's still pretty light. It's not that orangey tint, you know, like orange juice, but nowhere near compared to some of the brown ones I've seen out there. No, it's been like that for the same color application. Take their shirt off. I want to see you in a video take your shirt off first. You do that, then I'll think about it.
What time is it?
In the States? 6 hours. Or actually, they just changed their clock, so I think it's 5.
It's this.
What time you got in Colorado, man? I'm gonna guess about 6:30. No, actually, so that would be even more. So a little earlier. 4:30. You just going to bed? Yeah, it's out there in the laundry room. Set up the fan. Son, that's all done. Post boil, let's see, we're looking at about a 1051. So going for a 5% Vienna Lager. The grain bill, let me see, copy a link for you. It's not exactly, but actually maybe I can post it up on the Brewing. Let me just go ahead and copy this.
Are we going viral?
I don't expect to go viral. Let's see. Something chat windows. There we go. Let me see. Is that public actually? Let me make sure that's public. Now it should be shared. Now I should be able to see that publicly. Oh man. 11-month-old? How old is your baby? 9 months? Yeah. So Jomar's over here taking the day off. His wife, she had last weekend off, yeah, so he's getting this weekend off. So going to go for a non-standard type Vienna Lager. So based on a trip where I was in Austria a few weeks ago, there was a nice traditional original Vienna Lager that I had there. Based on recipes from the early 1800s, 1830s, 1840s, and it only had Vienna malt in it with melanoidin. So based on that inspiration, basically those are the two main ingredients in this recipe, and I'm adding in just a little bit of Cara aroma for color. I'm bringing it on the lower end of the scale for the style, basically on today's styles. Or today's style definitions for that style, but I want to keep it as close to original as possible, and yeah. So and then only using size hops for this one. How we doing there?
Oh, a bit hard.
All right, so where are we? Yeah, okay. No more activity. People pretty low, but we just took a break. Went outside and flying a quadricopter, and pretty cool, having a good time. Yeah, man. Thanks for stopping by, Thomas. Good to see you. Just mashing right now. We just started mashing. We're about 20 minutes into the mash, and yeah, everything's going pretty good. Working on the brewery today, are you? Or how are things going with you? That's cool. Are you actually going to be able to turn it on today, Thomas? Give it a whirl? Ah, okay. Getting closer then. That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty freaking cool. Right now, just cooling down the wort in a water bath to take a pH reading. Calibrated the sensor this morning, so everything should be good to go. Yep. Hey Travis, are you still with us? You still up there? Alright, man. We'll be here all day, pretty much. So, how are you liking your Milwaukee MW102? Is that still working out for you? I'm not a huge fan of these cables. I'm really missing the Hatch Pocket Pro probe. It's nice to just be able to have one device and stick it in. These cables, yeah, they get a little hard here in the cold, and then sometimes get in the way. Keeps sort of an issue with keeping the probe up, into whatever it is I'm taking a reading from. Alright, we're at 20C. Throw that in there, see where we're at. Today's target for pH was 5.37 in brewing water. And right now we're coming in at about 5.39, dropping ever so slightly. 5.38 maybe now. Okay. Not bad. Let's see if we can get that up there. 5.37, predicted to be 5.37 in brewing water, and there we are. Sparge water, yeah, I gotta fix that sparge water too. Yeah, I still like it. Cables are a pain in the dump that work. Yeah, those cables are a pain in the butt. Yeah, I always do a calibration as well. I think, for sanity's sake, I don't want to second guess it. Even though I always do sort of test it ahead of time, just before you calibrate it, just to see if it's within, spec. And it's never really been more than, I want to say, 0.3 off, right? So if you're expecting in a 4.0 solution and it comes out at like 4.03 or 4.0, or actually even like 3.99, it's always usually right around there. So it's been really, really good. I've never had it drift so much. So that's, it's nice to be able to rely on that. And that's after like 2 weeks with no use.
How much are you putting in?
So here I've got the phosphoric acid. Normally I put in 1.3 milliliters in 13 gallons, and that's enough to bring it down right in the 5.5 area.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much, I'm not going to squeeze it. So it's acid.
No, that would be bad.
I'm going to go with one first.
Should I cap it?
Not yet. Or yeah, you can for safety's sake.
Yeah.
Safety third.
What second?
Huh?
What second?
Acid for the phosphoric acid. Safety third. Yeah. I'll just let that recirculate for a few minutes, and then we'll test the pH of the sparge water.
Yeah.
Try and get that sparge water down to about 5.5. Tastes like wort. Yeah, we can close that up so it doesn't get too cold. It is still, what, 2 degrees outside?
Yeah, I think it was 3 when I went. Maybe 2 higher. Still not spring. But hey, tomorrow it's summertime.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry. Tomorrow's summer?
Well, we adjust the clock to summertime.
Is that tomorrow? We just talked tomorrow?
Yeah.
I don't know about these things. Let's see. Yeah, I think brewing water's never really been that far off for me. It's always been nice in the ballpark, but again, I'm sort of anal that way, where I need that sanity check. I need to be able to do it just to say that I did it and I had eyeballs on it. But I'll also take another measurement. I'll test the sparge water, get it down to 5.5 or in the neighborhood thereof, so it doesn't have too much of an effect, increase in the pH as it goes and fills up the boil kettle for the pre-boil volume. Now I'll take another pH reading at pre-boil volume once we reach the pre-boil volume. In addition to the pre-boil gravity check, I'll also do a pH check, and then also do another pH check afterwards while I'm filling up the fermenter, just to see what the post-boil pH is. And then, of course, then once the beer is fermented, then I'll take pH readings after the fact and mark that. So figure out where it is when the beer's done. I want to start taking pH readings like on every other day, during fermentation, so that I can basically map the slope and be able to, I don't know, maybe document it or talk about it in the Homebrew Wednesday or something like that, and just sort of use that as a demonstration to basically annotate how the whole form of the beer sort of slopes down, not just the gravity as it gets closer to fermentation being complete, but also the pH and how that affects the flavor.
How are you using that?
The pump? Yeah, for a clean in place system. So I'll put it into a bucket and then that bucket there. And then pump that up. Say I've got the ball here. Here. So I'll put that up from the inside and then put the water in. So run into that one.
It came.
No. Bought all that separately. Yeah. I was thinking for lunch we'll just have burgers. You guys getting hungry?
I don't
burger.
know food left.
Add eggs this morning.
I had a beer this morning.
I'll have a beer after the brew day is done. You want to try the house? Out reset?
Sure.
The lager or the decan? Decan later?
Hey, you just used paint, right? It's that chalkboard paint. Yeah. I was thinking to do the same.
Awesome. Sure.
There's a pretty good image that I saw of it. I can't remember where it was. I know it was from a John Palmer presentation. I think it was when we were brewing that beer together here at the Norwegian brewery called Eikentid. And he basically showed that the whole slope together. So it's pH that drops down. Obviously, the gravity is dropping down at the same time as the beer is maturing. And it's a really nice graphic, and I'd like to sort of just kind of add that to the brew tubing sort of library. Hey, Stas, good to see you. Thanks for showing up. Cheers, man. Hey, man, stay as long as you like. Stay as little as you like. Pretty cool to see you. How's the storm up in northern Australia going on? Are you catching any of that?
Getting your viewers.
Remember that?
My girlfriend.
See? It's proof I'm here.
Chicken beer and everything.
Varsågod.
Good try.
Everybody see me on camera?
Has she grown a lot since you got her? I think the pictures show.
She's growing a little bit. He's growing a little bit. His name is Scott. Hey, Scott. Hey. Turn you around so you can see everybody. Well, okay. Now, rain down there is nice to have, though, isn't it? Because it seems as though you don't get very much of it. Or is that just down in the southern part of the country, where it's like 80 degrees in the middle of summer? 80 Celsius. Now, I know realistically like 45, 48, close to 50 sometimes. Hey, Wild Boar Brewing, how's it going in Italy? Whereabouts in Italy are you at? Oh, sobrana. Yo. Yeah. Yeah! Take this one. Yay! Oh, soprano. You guys got pets?
Two kids for one.
2 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Have they asked for pets?
No, not yet. No. I'm waiting for it. They're still a bit too young to test for it.
Yeah. I started asking when they were like 7 or 8. Yeah. Then they were like, we said, okay, when you're 10. Yeah. And then they were 10 and they were like, then you said you could get pets. So where's the pets? And then we took, then we started looking.
Yeah. Or so I still got some time.
Took about a year to find stuff. We found another toller first, but then it was born with a defect. And then it ended up dying within just 3 weeks. So then joined the list for the next litter. And then
Didn't find it in the damage.
very good stuff. Tollers are very well known for that high pitch communication. Yeah, come on up. Come on. Come here.
You could maybe have thought to squeeze the tubes before you got the caps. To squeeze the tubes before you got the. Yeah.
Release valve. All right, man. Thanks for stopping by, Travis. Good talking to you. Take care and get some sleep. And make another video soon, man. Miss you out there on the brew tube and webs. Yeah, man.
Kunne vi begynt å brygge det først på det snart?
Nei, 12 minutter på det.
Ja. Så det blir etter Brewing så blir det egentlig sånn her.
Ja, jeg har fått noen mellomsteg, men kjøleboks. Kjøpte jeg jo den der infusion-greier, så hadde jeg en bokkjele av den. Jeg kjøpte nettopp en TV-kjele som jeg ikke har fått testet den.
Det er veldig fort plass.
Ja, problemet nå er egentlig støvn.
Nei, det er ikke noe.
Nei, jeg hadde 16 plass. Jeg ville slippe den, for den skal holde på å være med litt større batch. Det tar for en tid.
Garasjen sammen med huset.
Nei, tidskommet.
Hey, wild boar. So I was down there. Actually, lived down on in Sicily. I was just beside Catania, in a little town called Mota St. Anastasia, from 1990. I'll show you. 1998 until 2002. So yeah, and I spent a lot of time down at the backside of the boot, overlooking the Adriatic as well. There's a little town called what the hell was that town called? Vieste. Yeah, a little beachside town called Vieste. Small little city. It's more like a summer resort. But we were stationed up on the mountain back then, doing comms for the Herzegovina conflict. Maybe a little bit lighter than that.
The color might be my dead.
Huh?
The color might be my dead, but I think it was because the way it turned off. I read the measurements before it turned off, so it should be correct. But it was the camera room. It turned off at like 40 grams and
Okay.
220, so it should be correct.
I'll check that spark.
Yeah.
How many batteries you got for that thing, remember?
3.
And each one is
27 minutes. Best case. Yeah, and it's 25 is correct. Normal flight conditions.
And it comes with 2 separate batteries.
Yeah, currently mashing at the moment. Got about 15 more minutes into mash, and then just about to check the sparge water pH, make sure we're in the neighborhood of 5.5.
6 of those to the årsligt. Ja, mitt intryck är att de har ju fungerat bra. Jag tycker begge er nice.
Okay.
Men at det er noe sånn her, det man vil prøve å skrape meg på vekkerstand. Det er noe som blir så pekt bort. Så ser det pekt ut. Så det blir sånn på.
What's that? Is that your thing? I was gonna say that's not a sound that I hear ever. Never heard that tone. Going traditional. Going to be using the Saz hops for this one. Trying to target 21 IBUs or 25 IBUs. I posted the recipe, a link to the recipe up in the chat.
How many sound? 8.
5.7 so far.
You're on the sponge.
Yeah. So if I add acid now, it's going to basically, the more acid you add, the more alkalinity you take away. And so the next time I add acid, you have to add even less because it's going to be so much easier to bring easier to bring it down faster. So that slippery slope. When you go, you use like for the any acid really, but a lot of people with the lactic acid, 1 tablespoon is usually about 0.1 in pH on a 5-gallon batch. But once you get to a certain point, you only need half of that. You don't use a whole teaspoon in order to get a point, a decimal point gradient. Because
I did that mistake the second time.
Oh yeah, I was using the Southern Passion hops as well. I had Southern Passion and another Southern one. I forget what the name of it was. It wasn't Southern Star or Southern Dawn. It was something else. But, okay. So bringing in the sparge water. Sparge water is about 5.55, so that's good for me. That's where I like the sparge water at. And should be good to go. How's that Hellas? Is it okay? Are you done? Did you want to try it? Yesterday.
No, last time I was.
Oh. Can you get some more gas in there? Yeah, what's going on with your beersmith? What's happening?
Nej. Men ja. Så är det. Ja. Ja. Det är väl sant. Tror du inte var länge? Så är det att du faktiskt.
If your pH is at 5.5, when you're collecting your wort for the pre-boil volume, it's totally fine to go down to 1.008. You know, that 1.010 or 010 is pretty much just sort of an extreme sort of safety zone, but going down to 1.008 is the really low bar, or the bar. You know, it's the standard. They say, you know, you can go even lower than that, you know, 1.006, but then that would be, you know, considered low. 1.008 standard at a pH of, you know, less than 5.5. Then you don't have to worry about extracting any tannins or silicates and then causing harm to the beer.
I
think it was like my third batch or something like that. It was the Sierra Nevada Calibration ale. And I filled that little 12-liter keg and I brought that into work, and it was you and Percussion who sat there and drank pretty much the whole thing. And it was after that. It was like, okay, I think it was all in. He had to go out and buy all the equipment. And was making beer within the month.
Well, it was basically the same for me. Not kind of mindset.
I actually needed another friend as well. We made like a people course.
Well,
This was before they released the recipes. We managed to release it.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would. Adding more base grains would stop you from going underneath the 1.10 gravity. Just by like a couple hundred grams, or just a few ounces of more base grain will keep you up there. I think so. I've seen that. I've witnessed the same sort of thing a few years back, and so then tweaked the software, so I made my efficiency, tuned in my efficiency a little bit more, and as the numbers come in, and right around 1.10, sometimes up to 1.12. But in the rare case where it does get down, 1.008 is pretty much the low bar, the lowest I'll go, and I still don't worry if it does go that low. But that's just me. That's what I read. I feel pretty comfortable with that. I can't remember where I read it, if it was in Design Great Beers or Gordon Strong's Brewing Better Beer or in one of the other books. It was in one of the books. It wasn't something that I read online or a forum or anything like that. It was from a trusted source. Yeah, okay, so I guess a few hundred grams on a 300-liter system isn't really going to make a big difference. So in that case, a few hundred grams maybe would definitely make a difference. So scale it up by 10. So if you're talking instead of 30 liters, now you're talking 300 liters. So if a couple hundred grams would be a difference, like 50 grams or something like that, then you would think that maybe 500 grams or half a kilo would probably make a difference. So what's the water profile like? The bitterness might be coming from something else, in terms of concentration, ion concentrations. Just about finished, 60 minutes.
How's your target?
Well, this is just going to be like the first one. Yeah. I don't have a clear estimate for that.
Should. I don't have that like that.
60. We want to get to 1.53 as opposed to 1.44.
Where were you at?
Oh. First lemons. It's not usually a number I measure. They had that autograph of the slide rule that came with the How to Brew book way back when. And it would basically tell you if you're going to be doing what your first range should be, if you're going to be on track to hit your pre-bloom gravity. That's some math figure. I don't know if it's out there, but I've never used it. We want pre-bloom gravity 1.4044.
But is it that?
Huh?
Is the calculations in there? I'm not sure.
Where? Did you see it? I didn't
No, I'm just wondering if I saw it.
Oh, we never see it. I'll let that go just a little bit more, and I'll track it. I'll take another reading in 10 minutes.
Yeah. I think that was, I think I'm thinking of that. But the floor is fine.
Take a look. It's right here. Everybody say hi to Gunnar. Gunnar is living in the next town over. He's also a fellow home brewer. We've been doing some beer swapping with.
If you go to session. No. What isn't that? Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing as the frequent.
And then in the tools, it's nothing more. That has the company. Sorry about butchering spelling. That's fine. I brew on a Spidel, 50 liter.
I was over at Gunnar's house, what was it, about 6 weeks ago? No, 8 weeks ago?
No.
12 weeks ago. Three months ago?
Yeah, I think it's
He was-
closer to 3 months.
He was brewing up a whip beer.
Yep.
So it was nice to see what the Spidel 50-liter system was like.
Yep.
Very nice and compact.
Yeah, it gives me easy flexes on the Brewday. You know, with kids, I have to have some freedom.
few minutes. Hi, Meister.
How's the no host squeezing Brewday going?
So far, pretty good. No hiccups. pHs are coming in on target. Sparge water is ready. Just taking a first run-in gravity sample. Before I actually start putting it into the boil kettle. $10 minutes up to 1063. Give it another 5 minutes. We'll start collecting run-ins in about 5 minutes. So you can't hear the pump so much? We can hear them here. But it is quieter. That head is quieter than the old head. So, again, pretty happy with the upgrade. It's not terribly more quiet, but it's quite weird.
My apologies.
The pump makes no noise. Oh, the chugger. Yeah. I was thinking about the brown meister. The Brian meister.
Oh, yeah, that's not
Why do you an extra pump mount on the system?
I've seen people do it with just one pump. But the thing about that is, if you're doing a recirculating your water, I don't think so. Because you've got the insulated mash tun. So you're not going to be recirculating except at the very end. So your HLT is, if you want to completely recirculate that, keep it at a temperature.
Recirculate just sometimes I'm not to the reason
The only time both the pumps are in play is during the sparge. So sparge in the mash, and then at the same time fill in the boil kettle, so you get that sort of continuous thing. But some people, they'll take the first run-ins, use the pump to take the first run-ins, and then switch the pump over and then do like a back sparge instead. So then they can get by with one pump. But again, you get that insulated mash, so you're not really going to have to worry about continuous recirculation until the very end to do the board off. And then what do you do when you want to pump that over to the boil kettle? Do you need a pump to put it into the boil kettle, or can you use gravity?
reduce the gravity because of that through stairs.
You got a single tier for the HLP food. And then you follow it.
Taking our ordering and all this.
Yeah, right? So those are the ones that a lot of other people use from Ken Kingdom or whatever. They got the stainless head on it and the flow on it was more than enough. Right? I think I got probably closer to a 13% boil off rate. So if I start off with the gravity, well, if we take today's beer, for example, I'm going to start off with a pre-boil gravity of hopefully right around 1.044. And then the post-boil gravity should be about 1.051 to 1.053. So, yeah, about 0.8. You can or you cannot, Thomas, hear the pumps. How's the sound coming across? Can you guys hear us chatting and stuff, or is it like too low? Okay. Should I jack up the mic so that you can hear the conversation? the locker room talk? Well, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, everything is to scale. Everybody's system is different. Unless you've got the exact same equipment, all the numbers are going to be different. How long have you been brewing on that setup? Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and just change the pipes over so that we can start to fill up the boil kettle. Hey Ian, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Okay.
Yeah.
How is it? It's
Huh?
the temperature from right. Is it yeah, is there like
The Murray actually is fermenting longer than yeah, you can do normal temperatures with it, right? Dude, Homebrew Tom, how the hell are you, man? What's happening? What do you mean, what happened? What happening? Oh, what happening? What happened? What happening? See, I'm a little bit slow. You mean what's happening? Currently, so everything now is going from the mash tun. I'm sparging and starting to fill up the boil kettle. Let me try and catch up here. It's been a while. Stas is as far as the technical details for the setup. I've got a laptop with OBS software. I have two video sources. One is the integrated camera from the laptop. The other one is using a GoPro, and the GoPro is going through a capture card. Yep, into the USB 3 port. And also have an external microphone in order to help out with the sound. The mic on the GoPro is not great. Definitely not the one integrated on the computer. And that's it. That's all I've got going on. Hey Chris, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. My flow sparge. For the sparge, my flow rate is usually it's a trickle, so it takes about 45 minutes on a 5-gallon batch, usually about an hour on a 10-gallon batch. I've used the term, it's about as fast as like when you're going to take a piss. It's now it's different than piss in the morning versus a piss in the afternoon versus a piss after 4 or 5 beers, but it's about the speed of a piss nonetheless. Yeah. There's a difference between the flow rate as well with the new heads. I see that on these new heads, the Riptide heads, it's not as consistent as it was on the previous heads. Basically, the control valve. So the control valve on the O heads was just a ball lock, and that worked great. You open up a ball lock to a specific degree, and it allows liquid to flow through at a specific rate. But with these new, the Riptide heads, they have a different sort of valve where it's more like a cylinder inside, trapezoid, I think, where it's like a circle on one end and it comes down to a point like a triangle. And that doesn't actually do a consistent flow. So it's actually, you get a good flow going and then it slows down and then you get a good flow flowing again. So it's very inconsistent. But over time, again, this is only the second time I've brewed with these new heads. I've seen it so far today, and I saw it the first time. I did talk to Mike Dean about it as well, because he has the same, he's got the Riptide pumps, and he said that he sees the same sort of inconsistency as well. But yeah, it's all at a trickles pace nonetheless overall. Get to cracking with the vidya. Get that Keyser thing done. Get that built. I want to see some beers being poured out of it soon, Tom. You gotta see him get in here. It look like I'm talking to myself. A little darker. Take care, Stas. Thanks for dropping by. I hope I didn't miss you. I saw you, Froggy. Good to see you, man. No light.
Han har vært på tattturen til Brewday.
Ja. Ja, jeg har en kompis som er med fra meg. I hvert fall. Nei, men forhåpentligvis når ungene blir litt eldre.
Hva sier du?
Forhåpentligvis når ungene blir litt eldre. Så går det an.
Ja. Det blir med.
Ja.
Jo.
Det är mycket brun i munnen. Okej. Ja, det var bara en långsiktig på vägen som framför. Du har lagrat.
Flaskan din er vanskelig å finne igjen.
Hva fyller poste?
Ja, jeg skal i morgen bygge.
Du skal bygge med meg?
Nei, jeg skal i morgen.
Ok.
Få bygge.
Det er helt for neste. Nei. Du har ikke plan på hva du skal bygge?
Sommerbøst.
Sommerbøst.
Husker ikke lenger han som var originalen. Jeg vet at det er en av de beste i verden. Jeg har sagt det som er mellom hvit og din. Masse av det.
Ok.
Så det sitter av sorry. Jeg tror han har 10 kilo eller noe. Den må være gammel. Nei, jeg gjøres jo litt av Sverige. Stort sett kan det bli seg. Så jeg vet ikke, har jo begynt med sauebil.
Jeg bestilte litt av det.
Hva gjør du med avsug?
Jeg har ikke kjent det.
Som går over? Passer avtrekk?
Nei, jeg har ikke det. Så det går på nytt. Hvis du sier at det var ingen sånn som her, så har jeg informasjon der og der. Litt på siden, og så har jeg minus 9, minus 24%. Du gjør den på sånn.
Noe problem med at kondens begynner tilbake til det.
Nei, for det kommer noe til det. Da kommer det på litt så langt. Der står det.
Det er foreløpig et uløst problem for min del. Jeg har ingen skaper et stort problem. Drikker jo bare bedre det over godkjent.
Men ikke det litt ut å si jeg har det i garasjen. I garasjen der. Ja. Jeg liker det som får det til å se dette.
Akkurat nå så treffer jeg den der skinnene som er til garasjeporten. Så dannet jeg kondens langs den, og så bryter jeg. Det er jo skikkelig til det.
Ja. Jeg ser i garasjen, så det er jo bare å se til det.
Absolutt. Det er alle muligheter.
Ja.
Can't hear anything. We were, nobody was really talking, Ferris. Sorry about that. Let's see. Just ask. Never brewed up a Goza, Blake. Not really sure about that one. What would I do for my brewing rig? Does the heat burn it or remove the varnish? I don't know what you mean. The heating elements don't do anything to the warts. Never had any complaints about my beers, really? Anybody have any complaints?
Nope.
Yeah, they're running out.
They're running out. Yeah. Let's see. What do you mean specifically? What would I do to my brewing rig? I try not to do anything with it. I like it as it is.
You have tiles.
Yeah, I've got tiles underneath the boil kettle. All of the kettles have tiles underneath. I guess you can't really see that, but tiles on the edges. Yeah. It used to be just on the wood, and the biggest problem wasn't necessarily with the wood burning. Now, that was never an issue. It was more or less, the water that would drip occasionally from the valves would, fall into the wood, and then the wood, you start to see the wear and tear on it from time to time, and sometimes you would spill some wort, and then it would get underneath the kettles, and then the kettles would stick to the wood, and that was about the worst thing that would happen, you know. So I try and clean the kettles in place and not carry them anywhere, and I don't have a sink right nearby to use, so most of the time nowadays, you know, when I clean up, then I'll lift them up and clean the bottom off, and then make sure that the wood is dry and stuff like that. But yeah, I went ahead and put tiles underneath just to sort of help prevent any of that sticking to the wood or degrading the wood anymore. But no, burning the wood was never an issue. I mean, they get up to boiling temperatures, and that's a lot less than actual fire burning wood, so it was never an issue. Hi, Pasky. The new heads are actually working out really well. I was talking a little bit about before where the valves are a little bit different as it allows the liquid to pass through. So the pressure seems to change every now and then. So I'll get like a really good flow, and then after a while, for some reason, the pressure inside the head changes, and then the output sort of dies down a little bit. Again, this only happens during sparging, so not during normal recirculation. At least not that I've seen. Only during sparging. So I'll get like a good pressure, and then it goes to low pressure, and then the good pressure comes back. So it seems to be a little bit consistent, and I have to play with the dial a little bit more than I used to when I controlled the flow with the ball valve. A little bit there underneath the sparge. I guess I would like a little bit so I might come a little bit under.
How long time do you use the fillet?
About 45 minutes. So we want to get it to 60 minutes. What? About 8.5. So we want to get up to 8.5. This is. Yeah, that's the valve. Yep. So you see how now I've got like a really good flow, but then it sort of dies down, then the flow comes back because of the way that this valve is situated. It looks like
before you got the contract, you used this one.
Sorry?
Before you got that contract, you used this one?
Yeah, I used to use a ball valve. So internally, I think it looks like this now. So let's see, you've got the valve, and then you got the crank, right? And then here, it's coming in, and it sort of comes out like that. So instead of having a ball valve, when you unscrew it, you're basically, and then the outlet is like here, say, you're basically using that. If you go in all the way, then it would be here, right? So it totally close off the valve. And as you release it, you get like half open. That way for the water is different than if it was for a ball valve. Yeah. So it creates that pressure change. You see now how low it is again? Yeah. It's just, I don't like that. So, yeah. If there's one thing I don't like about the heads, it's that valve pressure problem. And yeah, see now it's like a little bit more than I would want. But, You probably slow down. Over the element? That's over the element. Hopefully it lightens up a little bit. It's looking okay. I don't know. I don't think it's the pump. Is it really because it's a chugger pump? No. I see the difference, and the only difference between the heads is not the pump itself, but the valve that allows the liquid to flow. So I was saying on the internal for this one, I think it's more like this, where when you unscrew it, it's got one of those pointy tips, so the flow will allow the water through. I don't know. It's a different sort of mechanical problem, I think. I don't know. You use a ball valve on the chugger pump and you've got pressure issues as well? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, needle valve. Thank you. Needle valve. That's good.
I can see now it's already back down a little bit.
Need to get the oil on so we can go make some lunch. Lunch! Actual food, not beer.
2 beers.
Did you want to try the other one? Sure. I gotta get food. This is water. That's
there.
Right. A little high on the pressure.
I don't know what combination.
Did you want to try it?
That's done.
Yeah, that's the other need for.
Thank you.
So that's the one with so that's juicy. Conan was the other one. A little different?
Slightly better, but it's more silky. But this one could use some lactose as well. I'm sure I haven't tried lactose. I don't know. Something to see with that.
Yeah, but we're only collected halfway, so it'll lighten up.
Will
Little
it
bit
actually lighten up inside the side glass? How does it mix?
As the boil happens and turbulence it happens.
Heat and cold.
You have to ask you that. How does protein coagulation get in there? How does it does?
Yeah, because we don't have any problems.
Does that mean better carbonation on it? You pump it up a little bit. It's gonna be better in another week and a half or so.
Maybe. Et annet problem med å drive i garasjen.
Ja.
Den mørke. Den minus så lite på vann.
Du kjører her på Jeg husker det, jeg husker. No, we're talking about this, how we can
Water is a problem in the winter. It's in water.
Just check and make sure we don't get too low. 10-16.
Is it 10-16 now? I think it's almost 10-20. 10-02. Runs before we stop.
Never go below 10-10.
10.
But your goal is to start from
No, my goal is to start to hold this. When you overstart, then down.
You had,
I gave you guys responsibility. Your only responsibility is make sure we didn't overstart. What happened? We overstart.
Yeah.
Do you have that responsibility?
The only responsibility
I
you
thought
guys
that
don't have is handling the tube. Other than that, it's your beer.
I wasn't aware of this.
We talked about this at work yesterday.
Well, doing a great job so far.
my job was to be pretty good.
Oh, you are. You are. You are.
That's not something.
That's not a start.
Aye.
I didn't need it.
Ja.
I didn't need it. I didn't have it to suck that.
Ja, det känner jag att det är väl.
Nej, jag känns så för det här är 20.
Du kan diametern på. Nej.
Nej, men den är 35.
60 liter.
Nej.
Och väl. Eller?
Nej. Careful.
Tony?
Yep.
What's the diameter of this caliber? 60?
Diameter, no idea. 56 liters.
I'll check the. Well, or you can do that. That's the same.
41.
Alltså, jag var nervös.
Ja, det var nervös. Nej, den köpte på 60. Ja, förlåt, sluta på. Yes. Ja. Så,
Den här är 45.
ja, men det är... Nej.
When you get to there, you stop.
We or you or you.
You tell me. You tell me when to stop and I'll stop.
If you keep your finger there,
And that's what the clip is for. Where are we at right now? 7? 7 gallons? We want about 8.5? Could even do 7.5. And then 6, and then 5, and something. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, for what's coming out of the national. Let's see. We're looking for 1044.
Uh-oh.
That's how you go to start.
Do we still say snap? Say snap. The marker.
You blew it.
Yep.
It's ruined.
We stopped now to boil down to 6 gallons, but we'll actually only get like 19 liters in the fermenter.
Oh, yeah.
Which ain't bad because I mean, I ain't gonna fit any more in the keg, and I certainly don't want it. So I think we'll take it up another half gallon to 8. If we come out at 10:40, that's perfectly fine. I'm totally cool with that. You want to hit the numbers of that? Hit the numbers of that.
What's your operation?
I'll get like it'll be 10:50, 10:48 to 10:50, which is good for me because I want that 4.8%, Vienna Lager. I don't want it to be 6% or anything like that. That's crazy. I want a nice sessionable Vienna Lager. That's a pretty nice amber color.
Yeah.
A little closer to brown. But yeah.
You can always play means. I was wondering
Oh, yeah, you can turn that off. Yeah, it's 23.
well, if you are home.
I just shut it up. Only, I totally forgot about that. I turned it on at like 7 o'clock this morning to preheat the room because it's like 8 degrees down here. It's going to be a single hop edition, 65.29 grams. Might be more than this, but that'll be okay. I'll get that one with a yellow knife. Yep. And also that tinfoil packet right there, that's the word clock tablet. Yeah, that one.
How much do you want?
6.
Yeah, half one. It's okay, just
So I use half. I use
for a work block tablet. Don't need more than that for 5 gallons. 65 point what?
Yeah, I'm excited to see how the Polish is.
65.29. Yeah. We're gonna try that next. We're gonna drink your Polish after.
Yeah.
You know, last time I had a Polish.
I've never had it before. So.
Huh?
I've never had it before.
the Turtles we had Coach, which was really bad.
Yeah, that was the bad one, right?
Oh. That's enough. Did you know yeast nutrient is mostly dead yeast?
Yes. Good.
This?
Briefly state.
Just sweep it on the ground, mop it up later.
Yeah.
Dude, you had. Oh my God!
That's enough. But the clip was all the way up. You moved the clip.
I didn't do nothing.
Yes, you did.
8.5, man.
I got distracted.
Oh yeah.
Suddenly it was complete chaos and yeast nutrients everywhere. So.
It was a yeast nutrient. Doing great there, Tommy. Good work.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man.
Are you still using products when we don't make kettle or is it
Alright.
Yeah, that's yeah.
No. So if I'm only doing 5 gallons, I will not.
No, it's only when you top it up. Yeah.
So, question. I was taking readings using a refractometer from the sparge water. See, how did I reduce the alkalinity for this lager? Because it should be very low. Well, actually, it's okay. So it is an amber lager, so the alkalinity would not be as low as it is for the Helles or a Pilsner or something that's like 2 or 3 SRM. So the alkalinity on this one, the target was actually 100. 100 for the alkalinity. It was so the range actually should be between 80 and 120 for alkalinity for a Vienna Lager, and I went right middle of the road to 100. As for salts, what I added was I used various things to get the calcium up to about 64. Well, here, let me go ahead and just show you. So if we can see this here. Alright, so it's based on the salt additions, the alkalinity, okay, so it's a little higher. I went to 110. About 60 in the calcium, 5 on the magnesium, 25 sodium, but that's my sodium level anyways. I didn't add anything for the sodium. Sulfate at 50, chloride at 75, and yeah, so those are my targets. In order to increase the alkalinity, which I did need to do, because my alkalinity is at 36.6. So I wanted to push that up a little bit higher. So in order to do that, I used calcium hydroxide or picoline lime. A very low amount, just a gram actually. And that helped out keep my pH higher into the 5.37 range where I was targeting. Otherwise, if I didn't add that in, my pH for this amber lager would have been closer to 5.19. So I wanted to raise that up at least to be 5.3, closer to 5.4 since it is an amber and not a a light yellow lager. Yeah, so those are my additions, and that's the reasoning for the salts that I added. All right.
Should we put the timer?
Not yet. Wait till the half hot. Basically, well, right now. Cool that down. So right now we're just reaching a boil and waiting to get past hot break. And I've got about 65 point something grams of Saz to add at 60 minutes, where it's only a 60-minute boil. There's no under-modified malts today. So it's going to be a 60-minute boil. And that's it, really.
Can I turn the ventilation on?
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Where I just turned it once, so I think.
Oh, that's good.
That's okay.
So that's why I use the firm cap S on a normal beer. 10 gallons. Also, crank that down to push the down button on the boil temp. Yep. Push that down to 80. There? Yep, good.
That's a bad boil.
That's probably a very aggressive boil underneath.
Yeah.
So dialing it back to 80 will be a very nice rolling boil.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'll go down pretty quick. And then it's a bit more forward.
What?
You don't have to, it's just to get it closer to the outlet. Almost there.
You want me to dump this?
Yeah, that can go right now.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty aggressive oil, so if we bring that down to 75. Okay, that's good. Down a little bit. And hop addition, 60 minutes, 65 grams, or 60 minutes, 65 grams of size. Let's go. Let's go. There, the scoop is in between those two things. The scoop, the stainless steel scoop. Quite that. You hit the timer, reset on the timer. Yeah. Good. 60 minutes on the boil. 60 minutes on the clock. 60 minutes boil. Boom. Putting this in the sink. You know. And then for this guy, yeah. Fill this as much as you can with grain. Should all fit there. Let's see. Okay, so question was, do I bother targeting a higher or lower pH for beer styles? I do. For the mash, I do. So for a lighter beer, like a Pilsner or the Helles, I target 5.2, 5.25 for the pH of the mash, and then hope to get right around 5.2 as well for the post-boil pH when I begin fermentation. For anything like amber today, I basically target 5.4 is basically the target on my sheet. I was targeting 5.37 basically, 5.37. When I'm going to be doing like a porter or a stout, I'll target 5.4 as the low mark, but usually 5.5 is where I'll go. Yep. Let's see. For the sulfates on the pale ales, I like, let's see, about 150, I guess, is where I like the sulfates. 180 probably is really nice too. 180 is what I target for my Monterey Street clone, and I really do like that a lot. So about 180. And then for the chloride, it'll be usually about a 3-to-1 ratio on that. I did a dropkick date for the first time. It was the first brew I did this year. And for that one, I targeted a sulfate of 225. And for that one, I used a 4.5 ratio. So the chloride was at 50, I believe. And I think that's a little bit too dry. So I believe that would be a lot better if it was lower, closer to 180, 175 on the sulfate, and anywhere between 30 and 50 on the chloride. I think, 225 is just a little bit too dry on the finish. Dry on the finish. For an IPA or a double IPA, I think I will target like a 225 on the sulfate and do a 4.5 on the sulfate chloride ratio. That's basically what I will do for my next IPA. That's good enough. wrap it up and then
Is it there?
wrap it up. Yeah, if you could just run it across the street to the bin. Yep.
To the neighbor's bin?
No, we all share.
Uh-huh.
We have Ponder. I'll pour some stuff down in it in a minute. I just want to get this initially started. I'll go get the drain out stuff and see if I can unplug that. You work on
brush.
yeah, but dump that out first. Where's the bucket? Did you take a bucket? Just use this bucket. It's fine. It's not a fermenter. Then the next water you put it into a big cleaner. So it's already, the pump is already on, so you just have to stick the hose in it and then use the, open the valve, rinse it out. Yep. And then use that red one. You can use this after that or this. You think it's next one? Yeah. Jomar was able to unplug it.
Alright. And then you do that.
It was him.
Nice. Yes, it happens for a reason, so you have some. Yeah, that is clogging it up.
Yeah.
So,
Six batches in just like a month? Like, holy crap. That's a lot. That's a lot of brewing. Hey, Mash Paddle. Wow. Hey, man. Thanks for showing up. Haven't seen you in a while. Looking good on Facebook, though. Really cool on the training regime. I don't know about that, Blake, but it's okay. You know, Jomar in the back, he blames me too for getting him into brewing. Unexceptional Rebel. Yeah, I think I'm all done with the Brewing on the Water series. I would like to do one more, basically, video that comprises bringing it all together. In the second video, I think I did a pretty good job of showing the big picture about how all of the different ions basically bring things to the fold, right? And then from start to finish. But I would like to do another whole start to finish. So throughout the brew day, so starting with the strike water, measuring the pH of that, knowing your water concentration, getting the pH right in the mash, knowing what your target concentration is there, but also showing you basically a kind of a graph on how things decline throughout the entire process, specifically your pH and how that basically flow works. And then if you've got the latest How to Brew book from John Palmer, he's got a really nice image that shows you, basically it looks like a Rubik's Cube and shows you how all of the different forces of your water affect the beer overall, like not just pH and also, you know, your alkalinity, acidity, but your calcium, chloride, sulfate, sodium, magnesium, and how you can tweak all of those in order to affect mouthfeel, fullness, dryness, the whole 9 yards. So basically, trying to encapsulate a video that takes those two images, basically that Rubik's Cube, and then also I'll call it like a staircase, a descending staircase, or a waterfall, basically of how the pH drops throughout the entire process. I think that would be probably the last water video I would ever do in conjunction with that water series. But that's kind of a long-term goal, but it never started out as being a goal for one of the videos I wanted to do specifically for that series. That series in my mind was always just a 3-video series, but I can see that it started off a little bit complex. I went from a bottom-up approach rather than going like top-down, and I know a lot of people learn, or at least prefer to learn from a top-down approach, and I think using those images from the book and another presentation that I saw would help with the top-down approach in order to get a better grasp of the overall big picture of water in brewing. I don't know. That's what I've been thinking about. Whirlpool hops do contribute to IBUs. They do continue to isomerize in the whirlpool, and of course, the rate at which they contribute to bitterness or the IBU concentrations in your beer depends on the temperature of your wort. You will get minimal, but you will get some isomerization even when it's at 80 degrees Celsius with 104 Fahrenheit, breaking down even down below to 50 and 60. It's not like it just completely stops. Recent research has proven that there is isomerization going on when the whirlpool is even at between 50 and 65 degrees Celsius. So it's minimal, but it does still continue to produce some isomerization. So there is some utilization ongoing there, but there is a drop off. I know that, there was some recent discussion about it on a podcast. I can't remember if it was Beersmith podcast or if it was John Palmer talking with Spencer on Basic Brewing. They did a really good show recently where they were talking specifically about that. And I know that Spencer from Basic Brew did a recent video where he's talking about only adding in Whirlpool hops, and you got some bitterness to it, but really nice hop flavors from it. Again, that's nothing to do with the isomerization, but there is some bitterness or isomerization and bitterness that comes from that isomerization during the Whirlpool. So yes, every system is different. There was also listening to Experimental Beer. There was a interview that was being done with a guy, I believe, somewhere in Asia. I don't remember if it was South Korea or Japan. It might have been Japan. This was only a few weeks ago, and he's talking about his Whirlpool editions, where he's getting upwards of 23% utilization from his Whirlpool editions, which is actually more than what he's getting by adding in at flame out. I think even like 5 minutes or right at flame out at boiling temperatures. He's getting more utilization during Whirlpool. You can make some sort of assumptions or guesses as to why that is. I think my personal opinion when I was listening to him talk about it was like when you're at boiling temperatures, the isomerization may be less because your hops are, you got so much turbulence underneath, so your hops are staying closer to the top where the heat of the wort, even though it's boiling, is cooler than what it would be at the bottom. And then when you're doing whirlpooling, you're not really, all those hops are no longer sort of at the top. They're submerged down in the lower base of where most of that liquid is, which could be hotter than had it been closer to the surface. So maybe it's getting better utilization because its hops are not stratifying or not in the stratosphere of the liquid, whatever. There's so many different variables there. But one thing is guaranteed is that every single system that is different will have different results. I'm convinced of that. That's what other people say. Yeah. Yes. Alright. Now what I want to do is take this bucket. Yep. And get in there. Cleaning water? Yeah, this is a PBW. Uh-huh. So, usually just once. So I use these to clean out, these buckets. These buckets is that fermented here. All I'll do is the neatness.
Yeah.
So I wash them out really, really good so I get all the residue out. And I put in the UW. Let it set for, well, it's been set for a few days now. A week and a half. So I will just use one of the things of this one, or where's the yellow one? The other one over there. And just scoop it out and just start to fill it up.
Yeah.
And when it gets low enough, just pick it up, pour it in. I'm gonna go upstairs and start making hamburgers and cheeseburgers.
Yep.
That was silly. Hey Chris, how's it going? Hey homebrew, the partial mash way. Good evening, sir. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. We had cheeseburgers for lunch. Yep, still eating actually. Just came down to throw in the order flock tablet, yeast nutrient, and check on everything. So we'll be back in like just a few more minutes. Alright, where was that bucket that was fermenter? Where's the bucket that was filled with PBW? This one? Nope. Nope. Yeah. We just need to rinse it out. Get all the PBW out of that. Alright, that's it. Just sit down.
Do you never use that one for anything with clean water?
Yeah.
Just clean water.
Sorry? Alright, so we're back. Anybody still with us? How you doing? Ooh. Alright. Hey, if you guys got a channel and you want to talk about it, announce it, by all means, go ahead and put your channel name out there. Alright, Daz, what are you going to target? nobody found her except us, right? But yeah, I know what you mean. Oh, okay.
Then you want
Right now it's just circulating the whirlpool, basically just to cool it down. When I see the temperature get around plus to 10 degrees Celsius there, then we'll start to go into the fermenter.
Yep.
That's it?
Yep.
Always do it like that. Serve right back into the brewing kettle.
Huh? Yeah. For the whirlpool, yeah.
So, whirlpool is outpool.
Yes,
Outpool
it is. It is. But it's whirlpool and air chilling the whole thing at the same time. When I see that reach 10, then it won't be whirlpool anymore. It'll go straight into this thing. After we get to that size. Is the lid on this clean?
oh the lid, yeah.
I told you they have to recirculate with the composite chiller to get
You don't, but I think it's better if we start to chill the whole thing down now rather than let me sit there at 90 something degrees until we get this thing all set up. Can you rinse out that bucket over there? Everything that's in it can be just dumped down the sink. Is that open fully? too scared to. I know it's going to be quite a bit. 5 for 1 at least.
Shouldn't you be able to see the same sample in the back?
Oh, this is just a little bit less. It would be more accurate there, 45, because that's the temperature of this down towards the bottom. This is not submerged completely. Oh, it should go down. It will be going down. You can see it going down there. And here's really what's important. So, examine.
Is it possible to get it straight from boiling them to fermentation without this
20 degrees.
turning?
Then it's just going to be a dribble. And then it's going to sit in here for like 15 minutes. Work it on, man! Sorry. Pretty close.
A lot easier than submerged sugar.
That's a little bit darker than I was hoping for, but you know what? It was an experiment. So, okay.
So we didn't have to have that.
Cure our aroma. Not so much. I could have probably dialed it back to like 3%. Where are we at? Any questions?
If anyone asks, I'm not seeing one.
I think it's the wrong audience. Morning, Gorgeous George. Canadian Brewing Channel. Yeah, sorry about one of the cams not being over the kettles. Maybe next time. Right now we're just filling up the fermenter. Just using a plastic fermenter this time. It's only a 5-gallon batch. We'll see where it ends up. Yeah, it was more. It wasn't an experiment, but it was more of a test batch really than anything else. We got a 2-liter starter going. We're going to put in some South German lager yeast into it, WLP 838. I really like that one. I used it for the Helles. It's appropriate for the Vienna Lager style as well, so that's what I'm going to go with. Hi, Michael in Hobart. Hey, I've been to Hobart. That's a pretty nice place. Made it all the way up to Mount Ellington as well. We were there. It wasn't the summer, but yeah, I remember we went up to Mount Wellington and they had snow up there. I don't remember if it was it's just before the summer or just after the summer. Yeah, the recipe is up online. I did post it earlier in the chat. Let me go ahead and get that for you.
Just from my Ireland Wyatt flask that exploded in the garage. I had it filled with Starson, froze.
So that's the Vienna Lager. A little bit darker than I was hoping for, but looking pretty good. I think next time I'll probably go a little bit lighter on the Cara aroma, like probably closer to 3% instead of 5%. I wanted it a little bit lighter, more amber. It's kind of a dark amber. I was hoping for a lighter amber color. Not too far off. 2, 4, 6. 46 maybe?
Yeah, it would be a bit less because it's
Yeah, as it warms up, I think it'll come up a little bit more.
2 for 6.
Sure. We're about 6 months off.
Well, it was our job to make sure.
How's it going?
It's a 5-gallon 6.
We should end up with about 20, 22 packs. A lot of that at the bottom is true, but I don't get greedy. So if we get 19, 20 out of this, I'll be happy. Two-liter starter. Recap. Water profile. So basically going for 75 chloride, 50 on the sulfate, reach about 55, 60 on calcium. Yep. We were actually shooting for a gravity of 1053, but I oversparged. Some guys were not paying attention, so I oversparged. And so by about 1.5 gallons. So we came up quite short. Actually, I think we're looking at about 1048. That's about 1048, which is fine for Vienna Lager. I was really hoping for something around 4.5% to 5%, so it's in that ballpark.
So we did good.
Yeah, we did fine. It was great. What are we doing here? So also the whirlpool helps collect the hops in the sensor. Right?
Was this the low?
It is copper, yeah.
Yeah. But it's low.
Yeah, but I can't do that. That's the pipe lead. It's one of the pipe leads. I bought two of them. Or maybe that was shorter than what it was. I used the whirlpool.
Yeah, I was
Way early on.
yeah, you know how I have the same now, but I was thinking to use the faucet example. And the one that's a little bit higher than that. I'll just tubing
Yes,
inside.
exactly. That's exactly what I used to do.
Yeah.
So it would come out of here and then up to it, import, and then do the whirlpool.
Yeah. That's what I use now, but I was thinking to put like tubing inside. Here, an angle like here.
Okay.
Not sure how.
Alright, I got the dies. You can make a hole in the kettle and then go.
Yeah.
Up there is the plastic hose with the micron thing in the box.
Ouch.
well done. Don't want to get much more greedy than that.
I think that's what I'll call it.
Try to turn the water off. Yeah, you can turn the water off. Thank you. Alright. How's your height? Pretty good. Pretty good. Considering this is gonna go into work, right? So
Yeah.
Full blast.
Full blast.
Action. Oh. Alright, get it out. Got a new one, yeah, we can try that one. I'm not confident that one's completely empty.
This feels sliding.
I also got that brand new in there.
Yep. Yep.
Just aerating the wort. How's everybody doing? To see what's going on in the chat. Can't hear from you.
Tony, I know Harry used that too when he used fresh dry yeast, but he also says you don't need it since the yeast doesn't need it on a fresh pitch What is your experience?
Well, I can't hear what you were saying over the fan. We don't need fan anymore.
Will Das. Tony, I know Harry used O2 when he used fresh dry yeast, but it also says you don't need it since the yeast doesn't need it on a fresh pitch. What is your experience?
O2?
Yeah.
I don't think Carrie ever used O2. I know he used USO5 quite a bit, and maybe WLP 007. Oh no, it was Safe Lager, because he only used dry yeast. He never used fresh yeast. I try and use fresh yeast as much as possible, but if I do a recipe that somebody said they made and they use USO5, then I'll probably just use USO5. No, that's not empty.
What do you do for cleaning for that one? Do you rinse it out and then something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cup is getting worse.
Well, it's been for 3 weeks now. Yeah, up and down, up and down.
So that's going to be 24 liters. 22 liters. Call that little. Room temperature, that's going to bring it up a bit.
That's it.
Yeah, it's good to go. Are you using that fridge? Yep.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's it. The beer's done. We're going to go ahead and put it into the fridge that you're sitting on. And later we'll wrap it up with a heat belt and also turn the fridge on so it'll ferment like normal. Gotta put the shelf in there. Yep. Right. Oh, O2. O2. Oxygen. He said O2, not...
I said O2.
Yeah, you said O2. I thought you were said 002, or I was thinking WLP002. I'm an idiot.
Maybe I said wrong then.
Oh, no, it was probably me. Alright, let's go. Where are we at? 6 degrees? Okay, I want to definitely go up. Sorry, guys. I know you don't like to look at me that close, but I'm sorry. Just a minute. Whew. Okay. Where are we at? This guy. No. You want to wrap this around the bucket? You can use that yellow tape. That's right there, that yellow painter's tape. I'll pass it through to you. Here. Take it all until you get to the black. Okay, that's good. Yep. Thank you, man. That's quiet. All right, where are we at? Let me look at the chat. So he used O2 when using fresh yeast, but it always says you don't need it since the yeast doesn't need it on fresh pitch. What is your experience? I don't use dry yeast enough to determine if it works better one way or the other, and I always O2 no matter what. Just because once the yeast do rehydrate, in my opinion, they're going to want to have oxygen for at least the first 48 hours during the first 2 phases of fermentation. So I would oxygenate anyway. That's just my opinion. Hey, Dang Stash Brews, cheers. Why no mash out? Well, we did a continuous sparge, and for the mash out, generally I do raise the temperature up to mash out temperatures about 80 Celsius, but we did not today, just didn't do it. It was a loose mash, so it wasn't very compact, it wasn't very thick, it was not a thick mash, so the viscosity of the wort didn't actually look like it needed higher temperatures in order to thoroughly rinse out. I do the heat belt just to ensure consistency. So I put it into the fridge. The fridge is going to be at 10 degrees Celsius. But the entire fridge is controlled by the STC 1000. So I have basically the refrigerator power plugged into the coolant. And then I also have the heat belt plugged into the hot side. So there is that couple minutes of lag in between. And yeah. So I put it in there just to ensure consistency. Yeah, Blake, I also run it through the stainless steel mesh going into the fermenter, and it definitely helps aerate the wort. Just a few more questions, guys. Let's take just a couple more questions if anybody's got any questions, and then we're going to shut down and have a beer. And then finish the cleanup, of course. Probably have some beers during cleanup. You don't want to watch the cleanup, do you? I do use the conical fermenter when I do 10-gallon batches. Today was only a 5-gallon batch, so I'm not going to put just 5 gallons of wort into a, well, it's like a 14-gallon fermenter. So, yeah, I don't like all that headspace. I actually want to get a couple SS brew buckets and replace the old plastic buckets for sure. I mean, seems everybody's done it, and I'm like the last one in line, so it's way overdue. Yeah, I can't say enough about research. Days, try it both ways. Try and over oxygenate. If you can tell a difference between a beer that's been oxygenated for so much, if you're going to be doing small batches, I don't know if you have the ability to do less than 300 liters at a time, but on a 5 liter scale, sure, like air oxygenate for a minute and then oxygenate again for 5 minutes. Ferment the beer and then see if the one that was oxygenated for 5 minutes tastes like cardboard. And worst case scenario, you lose about $50. Whoa. That's way over carbonated. Oh, yeah, I turned the pressure up, didn't I? Son of a gun!
That was not our
That was not your bad. Gonna drink up on a Helles here. So much pressure coming up out of it. Anyways, thanks a lot, guys, for standing out for the brew day. Appreciate the visits and the chat. Cheers, man. Have a great day. This is all signing out from Northern Rock Brewery. Cheers.